The Wes Penra Papers. A Journey Through the Multiverse. The Second Level of Learning. http://wespenry.com. Humanity's Future, Paper Number 2. Life After the Nanosecond, Part 2. The Dawn of a New Species, A Humanity Without Chains. By Wes Penra, Sunday, October 28, 2012. Revised, Saturday, December 15, 2012 at 12:35 p.m. http://wespenry.com, Part 1. 1. The Gods and the Love Vibrations. Now is not the time to say it's impossible. Now is the time to ask, what impossibilities can we make possible? Wes Penra, October 22, 2012. Love is the highest expression in the universe, nothing can beat that. And we're not talking about love between a man and a woman, or love between friends etc., although that's a part of it. The love we're talking about is universal, because the KHAA is pure love, whether it's hijacked or not. Love means that we feel the connection to everything, everything is us and we are everything. It's the ultimate feeling of being one with the goddess energy, the divine feminine. When we feel this love vibration, we get a hint of what ultimate bliss is. We are becoming one with the goddess. In the future, when we are fully developed as spiritual beings and are able to feel this all the time, we will merge with the KHAA and go back to becoming one with it. But before that happens, there are gradient scales. As we evolve spiritually, we are getting closer and closer to that state of beingness, but we are not ready for it yet, because we have so much left to experience and create. However, if we have felt just a little bit of that state of beingness and have understood what it really is, there is much less hate, holding grudges, and blame inside of us, because we understand that all these negative feelings are just coming back on ourselves. When we think about it, the only ones we are holding grudges against is ourselves, because ultimately, I am you and you are me. We are made as individuals to have experiences, and therefore we are separated. In essence, we were all made from the same clay, physically and spiritually. This is why it's so ironic when the gods are making all these efforts to take over the KHAA in order to control it. What they don't understand is that no technology, regardless of how advanced, and no knowledge, light, in the universe, can make them take over the KHAA, because it's not knowledge that will take them there in the first place, it is love. If they don't possess the love vibrations, they will not be able to dwell there. But they won't believe that even if they read this. What the Syrians don't seem to understand is that light is less than love. They think they can overwhelm the goddess universe with help from technology, but in the end they will only destroy themselves. Yes, it is true that in the meantime they may be able to pollute the KHAA, but they cannot take it over, not even if they would possess the love vibrations, because they wouldn't feel the need whatsoever to take over anything, and even if they hypothetically did, it would be impossible. They can only blend in, not control, because the goddess universe is not about control. So, their whole mission was doomed already before it started, and the Syrians can't succeed, only deplete themselves from energy in the long run. The problem is, however, that they, in their naivety, are creating a lot of negativity. We need to think in terms that there are plans within plans. What seems to be happening on one level is only one way of looking at it. A good example is the fact that we are 7 billion people on Earth. From the warlords' perspective, it's a good thing, because they know that the more humans on the planet, the more fear and chaos they can feed off, and the richer and more powerful they will be. Also, they have more super soldiers in the future they can use as foot soldiers in the war of the genders, in which they will attempt to take over the KHAA. Then, there is another, higher plan, which is that we need 7 billion souls on this planet during the nanosecond to raise the vibration of Earth and the human soul group in order to activate the DNA, so we can regain our position as guardians of the living library. Without the numbers, we wouldn't be able to do it. So we notice that, seen from two different perspectives, the same event can have two different desired outcomes. I am taking this as a good example, so we all can keep in mind that whatever happens, there is more than one plan behind it. And when I think about it, I want to take another example, which is the infamous hidden hand, whom we have talked about a few times earlier in my papers. The same plans within plans are at work here. Hidden Hand and his people are trying to manipulate us into believing that by the global elite and the non-physicals behind them are doing all this evil to teach us a lesson. They are sacrificing themselves for us, something I've described in details elsewhere. But bottom line is that Hidden Hand says they are our catalysts, and the more asleep we are, the more evil they need to do to wake us up so we can start working on raising our consciousness. Of course, from Hidden Hand's limited awareness, believe it or not, he thinks he's pulling our legs and protects himself and his kind. He wants us to feel empathy for them, and not condemn or attack them. They are basically afraid of us, because after all, we have outnumbered them, just like you two told me. With that he doesn't mean there are more humans than there are Syrians in the universe, but there are more humans on Earth than there are Syrians able to control us here at Ground Zero, which is Earth. Hidden Hand, most possibly a Syrian, told us all this so he can continue bringing evil to the world and more easily control those who are waking up. In reality, on a higher level of existence, Hidden Hand is basically correct. Let's look at it this way, the Syrians are not the highest beings in the multiverse, far from it. There is very much they do not know, although they think they know everything. There are beings in the KHAA who actually are using the Syrians for that exact purpose to wake mankind up. But do these higher beings endorse violence, death, torture, child molesting, then? Not the least. But the fact remains that the Syrians are here by their own free will, and it's a universe of free will, so not much can be done about that fact, except waking those up who are put into slumber by the evildoers. So, without realizing the whole concept of what they're doing, the Syrians are actually, under existing circumstances, helping mankind to wake up. What the Syrians are doing is a double-edged sword of sorts, seen from their point of view. They gain control over us by feeding off the fear they are creating, but as things go out of hand, it wakes us up to the fact of what they are doing. So, the Syrians' own system is also being used against them and may eventually bring them down. It is quite remarkable how energies work themselves out in favor of love and compassion. And there are indeed helpers, who are assisting mankind in the awakening process by using the Syrians as motivators and catalysts. So again, there is more to the picture than immediately meets the eye. However, it's not our task to convince the gods that what they are doing is not to their own favor. They will eventually fail, and those humans who choose to stay asleep will perish together with the overlords, unless both they and the sleeping humans change their ways. We need to leave the gods, either to their own demise, or to their own awakening sometime in the far future. They have a very long way to go, if they will ever make it, but we don't, unless we continue walking their path. And look where it's taken us. Our destiny is so much brighter than that, and we're overdue in accomplishing what we're here for. The nanosecond has been the splitting of worlds, and the nano is not totally over yet when I write this, and now it's time to say goodbye to the Syrians and leave them to their destiny, until they, too, have honestly decided to give up their doomed mission and start longing for the love vibrations. In the future, perhaps we can be their teachers, too. But wait, are we really evolving? I have been telling the reader in quite a few papers now that humankind is waking up in masses. But all we can see and notice firsthand, normally, is our immediate environment, and how people behave there. Some of us may be traveling to another city or another country, and that way they can compare and get a wider perspective. Also, on the internet people from all nationalities have a chance to meet and connect. We can do all that and still don't know in what capacity people are awakening. So what do we do if we really want to know? The best way is to feel. Let your antenna out and feel the environment, space out and feel how it is in other cities, or on the countryside. Check out foreign countries. What do you feel? And after all, what is evolvement? The word evolvement doesn't really exist as a noun, but it exists as a verb, as evolve. The term evolvement is often used in metaphysics and in the New Age movement, but describes pretty well what we want to use it for. Dictionary.com says about evolve. Verb, used with object. 1. To develop gradually, to evolve a scheme. 2. To give off or emit, as odors or vapors. And verb, used without object. 3. To come forth gradually into being, develop, undergo evolution, the whole idea evolved from a casual remark. 4. Biology. To develop by a process of evolution to a different adaptive state or condition, the human species evolved from an ancestor that was probably arboreal. Definition number 1 is probably what comes closest to what we have in mind. Although, during the nanosecond we are, or were, perhaps, when you read this, said to evolve much more rapidly, 10,000 times the normal speed. What usually takes thousands of years or more has taken 25 years during the nanosecond. This is how fast things have changed. Have you noticed? I have without a doubt. However, there are those who say that we are not evolving, and that we actually don't need to evolve. Someone told me we already are evolved but set back because of the Syrian trap we are sitting in. Once we let go from that, we are automatically evolved. This may be, in one sense, but it would be like letting mankind out in the ether without any education, without knowledge. Like throwing someone who can't swim into a deep lake. They wouldn't feel much evolved. This is why it's so important to take advantage of the nanosecond. The gamma rays from the major electrical objects, yes, electrical, are hitting us with gamma rays, and all other rays of light on the spectrum, in ultraspeed as I'm writing this, upgrading our DNA so we can once again enjoy being multidimensional beings, just like our ancestors were, long before the dawn of mankind. These electrical devices are of course our own sun, but also Alcyone, and the galactic center. These are the major outside influences on our DNA. If we feel we have been like sponges during most of this last 25 years period, willing to learn, and reading and gaining wherever we can, and at the same time been getting epiphanies, we are certainly on the right track. Most souls who were born here shortly before, or during the nanosecond, did so because they wanted to partake in the enormous quantity of energy, centralized in one specific place. This is where the party was, it was here spirits could have a blast and learn something. They could choose whether they wanted to be serious and really learn stuff that they can bring with them as wisdom for eternity, or they could, like playboys and playgirls, just come here to have fun, and then just exit, die, and continue somewhere else, or unbeknown to them, get recycled. My point, however, is that we are on our own soul journey, so don't worry about those who don't make that much progress and those you feel missed the boat, people you love who spend it with machines and yelling during football games. Some of them come here for the machine world, and this is their purpose, others are just not as aware yet and have a long way to go. Please let them do their thing as long as they don't obviously harm themselves or others, because they are experiencing exactly what they need to experience. Although it's hard, don't interfere with their progress, because it is progress after all, even if you don't see it. If you present a more constructive path for them and they don't respond, whatever you do, don't try to force your own convictions on them, it will only halt their progress, regardless of how much you want to accomplish the opposite. However, on a positive note, there is actual evidence that we really are waking up as a species, and we're waking up fast. The person who is giving us proof is David Icke. In his latest book, Remember Who You Are, Remember Where You Are and Where You Come From. Remember, he says. There are an estimated 250 million websites and, in 2011, davidicke.com entered the top 5,000 most visited in the United States and the top 6,500 in the world. If we really think about it, it is a high percentage of the world population who is checking out such websites. It is very encouraging, and it means that the vibration of this planet is speeding up exponentially. The Syrian Alliance knows they can't stop it, and they can't prevent us from breaking the time loop, so they are desperately thinking of ways to keep their control over us after 2012 has passed and gone. They will only partly succeed, and many souls will see through their system, even that of the Blah, and many will return here the next lifetime without amnesia implants. They will come back here as whole, with their timelines healed, cleaned up, and ready to create the new world, outside the Syrian system. Earth will eventually once again become the living library it was meant to be, and a more harmonious time, a new golden age will come to life. The new phoenix will indeed arise from the ashes of the old. If we look at the nanosecond from the Syrian perspective, and that of the global elite, their view on it is slightly different, but it's not like they necessarily don't want the nano to happen. People are constantly asking me, understandably so, why the global elite, if they are so powerful, don't stop me from writing this, or why don't they stop everybody who wants to get the truth out? And why did the global elite, with Freemasonry, the Rosicrucian Order and the Illuminati working in the background, start the Industrial Revolution in the late 1700s, when they in fact knew that this would lead to a huge increase in the world population, and people would have a more decent living standard? The Pleiadians say that the Industrial Revolution was planned so that the planet could house 7+ billion people during the nanosecond. They were looking and planning for the future. So why did the global elite want the nano to happen? Well, not only do they want divine templates and fires on the planet in abundance so they can feed off of us, but they also want us to evolve so they can harvest those who are ripe. This is why they are not working against the nanosecond, but rather for it. This is why there are so many entities channeling information about ascension and the harvest now. It's all a deception, and a dangerous one, like we've discussed earlier. The only problem the Syrian-dominated global elite have is to still keep humanity in the dark when comes to crucial things, like the real purpose of the Syrian alliance, and other important things related to that. This is what they put their most efforts into. As I am writing this, there have been one major school shooting in Connecticut, and one shooting in a mall in Portland, Oregon in the same week. Mind-controlled slaves, Manchurian candidates, at play. This, of course, increases the fear in people, but it also keeps humanity distracted and depressed, feeling hopeless about their situation, which helps the Syrians stabilizing the order. By the same token, shootings like these also work as distractions so that we don't look in the other direction where the real stuff is happening. These are both very old manipulation tactics, and they work most of the time. Humankind is a product of nature, that's basically what the third dimension is. Mankind is a product of Mother Earth, so is the animal life, the plant life, and everything else in this material 3D existence. Yes, everything here on this planet, more or less, was seeded through panspermia and became native to this planet. The gods were not seeded here, they came from elsewhere. This is very important to remember, they are not native to this planet. Humans, on the other hand, are native to Mother Earth, we are her children. The goal that was set for mankind was to stay here as guardians of the material world, and at the same time being able to reach out with our evolved consciousness and neurological system and travel the universes. Therefore, I can't stress enough how important it is that we connect with nature. I brought this up extensively in Level I, but it needs to be said again. What does connecting with nature mean? Does it mean taking long walks in the forest and look at the trees, the flowers, the birds, and other animals? To see what's really there? Definitely. That is part of it. If it's summertime, take off your shoes and walk barefoot in nature, feel the connection. Stand there and do a breathing exercise and feel how your breath is going through you and connects you with the macrocosm, the universe above and the earth beneath your feet, and the microcosm, the cellular, microscopic subquantum world within yourself. The next step is to learn how to communicate with nature. Say hello to the sun, who is recognizing you by your energy, and feel her say hello back, and for a second or two shine a little brighter just for you. Then start learning how to communicate with the leaves, the bugs, the trees, the birds, the squirrels, the deer, the wind, the lakes, the running water. The more you practice, the more psychic you'll become, and you will notice it. Nature will talk back to you, you will feel it. It will recognize you when you come, not by name, but again, by feeling your energy. We are all energy beings, whether we are humans, insects, or rocks, and we all carry some form of consciousness. After a period of practice, you will be able to sit down somewhere in a private space, in nature, and communicate with whatever is around you. When your skills are getting even better than that, you can do it anytime, even when people around you are chattering about totally different things. Once you've learned these skills, it won't go away. I was very good at this 15 to 20 years ago. Then there was a time when I was very busy doing other things, just things I went through because I wanted to, but they weren't directly connected with nature. Years later, I could just sit down on the porch, look at the butterflies flying around in the flower bed, and start communicating with them. I asked them to come closer and they did. I asked them to do a circle in front of me, so I could admire them, and they did. Nature likes to be admired and feel that it's loved and paid attention to. It's very rewarding for us, as human beings, to become close to our environment. If you live in a highly populated area, e.g. a big city, try to find a park or some area where trees and flowers grow, because there it will also be animal life. You can learn to be friends with everything that's in there by visiting it as often as you can and connect with it. There is always a chance for all of us, regardless of where we dwell, to get access to some nature. You can overdose on drugs, you can overdose on electronics, but you can never overdose on nature. And still, once you've been out there a few times, you notice how the stress comes off of you, and how good you feel. And you realize how much more clarity you get than when you sit in a room before a computer or text on a cell phone. Yes, humankind is evolving and has done so super rapidly over the last 25 years or so. So fast, indeed, that we haven't had the chance to even think about what it is we want as a soul group or as individuals. I have given a few options that we can choose from, but there are more, much more. After the nanosecond is over, about 2 months after this paper is published, there is time for reflection. As the train is slowing down, we get a chance to use our new knowledge, and wisdom, hopefully, to figure out our destiny. What do we really want? Do we want the machine kingdom? Do we want to become guardians of the natural world? Do we simply want to leave this existence and go somewhere else? Or do we? I don't know what the majority of this soul group will actually choose. I may be positively surprised. Perhaps the machine kingdom is not going to get any major enthusiasts because too many people have seen through it when push actually comes to shove. Maybe most people choose to step aside and just start all over, without the control and addiction to electronics. No one can say for sure, we can only see probabilities and possibilities. The reader's own idea of his/her own dreams about the future may be totally different from anything I've mentioned in any of my papers. If so, go for it. Here is our chance to eventually fulfill our dreams and visions, because now we know which inner tools to use the substitute for the machine kingdom, which is human free thought. 3. Investing in what we've learnt. If we ask 2 people what they see when they look at an impressionistic painting by Claude Monet, we will almost always get 2 totally different answers. One person may say they just see a lot of colors without any specific shape and form, while another sees people, houses, and objects hidden within the colors. It's a matter of consciousness in a sense, consciousness when comes to observing things in our environment. It's the same thing when comes to star beings who are traveling the universe and stops to look at Earth from space outside our planet. Some of them just see a blue orb, while others see so much more than that. It really boils down to levels of consciousness. After the nanosecond is over, some may be quite disappointed, because they notice that what they invested in was not real, it was like cotton candy and had no substance to it. Many people will die and exit the planet when the rides are over and the fairground closes. There is a big chance there will be a mass death, perhaps thousands and thousands of people in one afternoon, in a bigger event than 9/11s. There could be as much as millions of people exiting over a short period of time. This will of course be a shocking event for many, but if or when it happens, remember that the nanosecond was a free ride for everybody, a time period where everything goes, really. Free will at its extreme. Those who came here just to have a blast will be very surprised afterwards, when the same things they invested in a few years earlier doesn't work anymore. They were only in here for this time period and had perhaps decided their own demise already before they were born. Therefore, even if it's shocking to see all the upcoming suicides and accidents, they were planned on a higher level. If we see it as such, we have an easier time going through it, because some of these people may be our friends and relatives. The first half of the nanosecond was perhaps the wildest in the sense that you could do pretty much as you wanted. Borrow money? Sure, people just went to the bank, and often they didn't even need a cosigner or guarantee that they could pay the money back. People consumed like crazy and thought there was no end to it. Many found themselves in huge debt, but all they needed to do to resolve it was to extend their credit. And many people didn't think twice about it. At the second half of the nano, people started to realize what they had done and had to take the consequences, until the financial meltdown happened in 2008, when there was a definite stop to everything. People found themselves without jobs and with no way of paying their mortgages or to sell their house, except for much less than they owed on it. Many had to move in with relatives or, in worst cases, they had no place to go. By the same token, time continued speeding up faster than ever, and the confusion spread in the society. Many committed suicide or went insane. So we can see that even when it comes to the experiment, there are experiments within experiments, and this particular experiment, which the Pleiadians call the nanosecond, is soon over. In a few years, the world population will decrease. It has increased rapidly over the last 250 years, but that will not sustain itself after the nano, and the universe will have different ways of decreasing our world population down to a more normal level. It will, like we said, happen because of mass deaths, but also because men will notice that their sperm is not as good as it used to be, and less babies will be born. The fertility problem in both men and women has already started to be looked at as a major problem. Women go to sperm banks to have kids, and women who can't give birth rely on surrogate mothers for their babies. And the more we go towards the machine kingdom, the less people will be able to reproduce, which is obvious, because machines don't make children. I am talking about a time that is not too far into the future, when people will become half machines and half human. To some degree, until things are going haywire, there will still be reproduction, but it's going to be much more controlled. The Syrians want to have enough super soldiers for their army, but not more than they can manage. In such a futuristic world, people will be more interested in virtual reality than in having sex anyway, and if they need it, they go and buy a machine sex partner who can do whatever they want them to do, and afterwards the surrogate lover can be put in the closet until next time. Many people are going to demand that they can marry their machine partners. That way they don't need to show any responsibility to a real person and don't have to take a partner's needs into account. So much more time can be spent on virtual reality. So much, in fact, that the future computers will take on the consciousness of their owners. After the nanosecond, no more space will be created to accommodate a lot of people, and future generations will think back on the nano as something very special that their ancestors went through, and some of them will possibly be jealous over that they didn't have the chance to be there. So, in other words, it is a privilege to have been part of this time period. The immediate aftermath, the next 10 to 15 years perhaps, can be tough for many, who invested in things that hold no value, and I'm not necessarily talking about gold and silver, but also about not investing in increased awareness and consciousness, and make the right choices. The societal structure will change, and social security, pensions, disability claims and such things will be much harder to get, and there may not even be money enough to pay out retirement for people, although the richest people in the world have never been richer than they are now. Social services in general will be severely cut back on, because no matter what people think, things will not go back to normal again. The old world can no longer sustain itself, and the new world, whether it's the machine kingdom or living with nature, has not yet been established. We are right now living in a between world of drastic changes, and it will take time before things stabilize themselves. The Pleiadians don't see that happen until in the late 2020s, perhaps as late as 2028. This will trigger self-reliance, which is actually a good thing once we get used to it, because those who can be proactive may have the chance to break out of Syrian control to some greater extent during this time period, although it may be very tough at first. The key is to slow down and self-reflect. Hopefully, many people have already been planning for hard times by reducing their debts or perhaps even have a manageable plan how to pay them off. This is very important. There may be more urgent things to think about in the next few years than how to pay the next mortgage and the payments on that expensive car, so we'd best have that out of the way. Money may not be worth much either soon, so don't invest in having a lot of cash on the bank account. All we need to do is read up on the Great Depression in the first half of the 20th century and we know that it can happen again, and is planned to happen. People had wheelbarrows with money to go to the store and buy a loaf of bread. Money wasn't worth the paper it was written on. So invest in valuable things if you can, that will have value even through a depression. Still, the most valuable thing we can invest in is ourselves. Get a skill that is needed. Don't educate yourself to become a school teacher or something of the sort, but rather teach yourself how to maintain a garden, how to grow things you can eat, how to become a handyman, so you can barter your skills and get food and supplies in exchange, and similar practical things that are needed in catastrophic times. Nothing happens by accident, and there are absolutely no coincidences. Those who have followed my writings know by now that this is my true conviction. If something happens, and especially in politics, business, and banking, it is planned to happen. So was the financial meltdown, of course, and the next phase will soon be implemented. They are crashing the dollar to such an extent that it can't recover, and that is exactly the plan. They need to implement a one-world currency as soon as possible in preparation for the gods taking over on a global scale, and for the invasion from the Nano world, which I feel is going to happen, and is actually already happening. They don't want different countries anymore, they are too hard to control. They want a global society, with one king on one throne, who will run the world through his loyal administrators. This king will look like you and I, or any human, and few will suspect he is not from Earth. However, it seems to me that they are falling behind on their time schedule and they are now in the process of speeding everything up so the next financial low will come. In between, like when I am writing this, the market is temporarily up, and people get their hope up that there will be better times, but don't hold your breath. Prepare for another meltdown that can turn into a real depression. It's a part of the plan, and I would be surprised if it didn't happen. And better safe than sorry. On the brighter side, perceptional energies are sending out codes right now. They are, as usual, in the language of light and can be decoded by the nervous system, the pineal gland and the cochlea, the little bone inside the inner ear. These are frequency signals, which our cells are programmed to respond to. We can't hear them, but they are there. These codes are triggering inner signals in both humans and animals, and they are starting to happening now, big time. We can think of it as a long-term plan, first instigated by the original creator gods. If you write a book, you'd better plan it, chapter by chapter, section by section, or the result will most possibly not be coherent. The same thing goes with the planning done by the builders and the founders. When they create life, they plan it from beginning to end. They live outside of time and can therefore see the future, present, and past simultaneously, and decide when something is going to happen with a species at a certain time, i.e. a certain code will be activated at a specific time, which will have a particular consequence in the species development. This is what we're talking about here, and this is at the same time something the Syrians don't understand the mechanics of. They only see the effects of what the creator gods, with so much greater knowledge and compassion, created. And alas! The warlords are working hard to counteract the effects they are seeing. One thing the Syrians are experts on, at least, is magic and numbers. They understand the significance of numbers in the whole scheme of universes and how they function. If we are observant, we can see quite clearly how they use very special dates when they want big, manufactured events to occur. It is often closely related to the movement of the zodiac. Listen to this: Twin Towers, 9/11, Fukushima, March 11, 11, the Great Oil Spill in the Gulf, happened on Hitler's birthday, on April 20, 2010, and the ramp sank on the Earth Day, April 22, 2010, which is quite coincidental, isn't it? We destroy the Earth on the Earth Day. And Osama bin Laden was officially killed on May 2, 11, 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals 11. The list goes on. These dates and numbers are very significant and are chosen to have a maximum effect. The number 11, in particular, is the great power number for the global elite. Still, it is of little consequence what they do, they still can't stop the explosion of consciousness. The reader may have played the game where you hammer something down that pops up from a hole in the desk or counter, but as soon as you hammer one object down, another pops up somewhere else, and you start to frantically chase objects popping up everywhere. It doesn't matter how fast you are, the objects pop up faster than you can hammer them down. Same thing with the rise of consciousness, which the Syrians have realized that by now and are therefore slightly changing their plans. Perhaps humans aren't as stupid as we thought after all, they seem to think. For their plans to succeed, they have been very reliant upon our stupidity as a human race. People may think of dogs and cats as less intelligent than we are, and we treat them as such, but if we really start learning about them, they possess abilities humans can only dream of. Dogs and cats are quite psychic and multi-D. We underestimate them, just like the Syrians underestimate us, although, some people still choose to remain in occlusion. I believe, however, that most people today feel that there is a change needed. Not only on a societal level, but with themselves. The old ways don't work anymore, and as unpleasant as it may seem to be, there are things that need to go, and new things need to take their place, for the times they are a-changing, as a famous poet and songwriter once sang for. In a previous paper I mentioned that there is another Syrian consciousness, which seems to have evolved above that of our controllers. In a channeled session, this consciousness says, knowing that the farce that is playing is but a limited engagement, and that the true nature of the human spirit is rising. They are very right about that.